Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another PS4 tutorial. The 12.02 Jailbreak is finally available, so you can now jailbreak a PS4 up to firmware 12.02. Now, this has only just been released, so this is kind of an early setup guide, obviously. I'll have a more detailed guide once things have been streamlined and made a lot easier. Once we have Gold HEN available for up to 12.02, I'll make a more, detailed guide that will be a lot easier. But if you want to get up and running with it early, I thought I would do this kind of early setup to show you how to get things up and running. Now, of course, up to 12.02. The only way that we can actually jailbreak this is to use the Lua exploit. At the moment, we cannot run it through the WebKit because we don't have a WebKit exploit yet. Hopefully, that will come sometime later. But essentially, what you need is, you need to get your hands on one of the supported games. It pretty much needs to be a physical copy in order to get it onto older firmware on your PS4. So, you need a disc copy of one of these kind of obscure Japanese games. Now, there are a handful of them that are supported. The one I have here is Hamada Shy Creative. But if we head over to the project on GitHub, we can see for the remote Lua loader, which is what we're using to load this. You need to have one of these games. Now, pretty much any game that runs the Artemis engine will eventually get supported. Most likely, but as of the ones that are supported right now, you have this list from Raspberry Cube all the way down to Nora Princess and Crying Cat 2. These games are the ones that you need. Any one of these games will do. And obviously, the demos need to be downloaded if you're on an older firmware like 12.02. You've missed your opportunity to get any of those demos. So, you need to get the physical copy of one of these games at the moment in order to set up the jailbreak. So you can get them from places like PlayAsia, CD Japan International, sellers who are selling on eBay to get them shipped to other markets. But at the moment, they are basically Japanese-only titles. So you'll need to get them shipped internationally in most cases. To get your hand on a physical copy. Now, the other thing that we also need is to get the save onto your console, the modified save file, so that when we run the game, it will load the modified save and trigger the remote Lua loader. Now, there's different ways that you can try and get the save file on here. So the easiest way is to restore a backup file. And I'll leave one in the description that has all of the supported titles. It's basically a backup APS for backup that has all of the modified save files for the currently supported titles. And then you just restore that backup onto your PS4. And then you will have the modified save file available when you load the game. That is the easiest way, and it will work on the backup I have in the description will work from 11.0 and higher firmwares, so you can restore it onto your PS4 to get the save file on there. The downside, of course, is restoring someone else's backup onto your PS4 will essentially reset your PS4. So obviously, if you're going to use this method to restore the backup, I would highly recommend making your own backup. First, by heading over to the settings menu here, scrolling down to the system settings, and then going down to backup and restore, and then selecting the option to back up your PS4. Say yes, and then just select any stuff you want to back up, especially things like your saved data, and maybe your themes and captures, any games that you have downloaded. And then go ahead and click next and then back up your PS4. And then simply plug in the USB drive that you backed it up to into your computer. Take the PS4 folder that contains the backup here. Copy this somewhere on your computer for safekeeping. So just copy it somewhere on a drive on your computer. That's not gonna get deleted. So that if you ever want to restore and get your save files you'll be able to do so, and then once you've got your own backup, you can delete the backup from the USB. And then take the backup that will be linked in the video description that contains all of the modified save files. And you're just gonna want to take the PS4 folder and copy it to the root of your USB drive. And that's all you're gonna want to do. Make sure the USB is formatted in SFAT format so that the PS4 will be able to recognize it, and then once you've got the backup on the USB back into your PS4, head over to settings, go back to the backup and restore in the system settings, and then select the option to restore this backup. And just allow it to restore the backup, unfortunately. It's quite a large backup, and once you have that backup restored, when you go to launch your Lua game, it should load the remote Lua loader. So it'll take a few seconds. You'll be on a black screen, and then you should get the prompt saying the Lua loader is running. So that is how you get it installed. That's the easiest way. Just to restore a backup that already has the saves on there. There are other ways that you can get the save without having to kind of reset your console. Now, unfortunately, this does have a requirement, which is that you have to have an activated account on your PS4. Now, the way that you can tell if you actually do have an account or not is simply to sign out of your profile. I mean, this is the way I do it. There's other ways that you can check. I just log out of the profile on your PS4. And then once you're in the sign-in screen, if we press any button to continue, once we get into the sign-in screen, hover over your profile and press the options button. And if you see a menu pop up like this appear that says offline and online, that means your account is activated. If that menu does not pop up, it's not activated and you'll not be able to use this method. So if you have an activated account, what you can do is simply download this remote Lua loader. Lua saves, which will be linked in the description. This contains the modified save files for the games that are currently supported. So in my case, I'm using Hamadashi Creative, which is Kusa to 389, so I'll just copy that over to my desktop here so that I have the save file available. So there's two ways we can do this from our computer. We can either use the $50 application, which is Save Wizard, or you can use the free Discord save bots that are available. There's, I think, Easy Wizard and Eidos. Eidos is the one that I'm demoing here in this video. So if you want to use the free Discord bots, you're recommended to use a Google Drive, because the saves are quite large. So basically create a Google Drive account. If you don't already have one, you basically just create a PS4 folder on your Google Drive account, and then make sure you go to the three dots on the side here, and go to share, select the option to share, and then make sure you change it from restricted to anyone with this link so anyone can view it. You also want to change it from viewer mode to editable so that the Discord bot can actually make changes to that particular folder as well to the contents of that folder. So once you've done that, you can just go into that PS4 folder and then just copy the save file into that folder. Once you got the save file in there for the modified save, you can go ahead and copy the link to that PS4 folder, and then you can get started with the Discord save bot. All you have to do is join the Discord server, which I'll leave a link to in the description. Head to the HTO section here, and then find one of the save bots that is active. So the one I tend to use is PS Space Bot. There are other ones available. If that one is down when you try to use this, you basically just click Get Started, and then it will create a kind of new thread here that you can go into, and then you'll get a welcome message. Then you can type in / and then select the option to resign. Make sure you select the PS bot or whatever bot you're using. Make sure you're using their version of the resign command and not one of the other bots. And then once you have got that entered, it's gonna ask you for your account ID. So you just put in your PSN account name. And then once you have that in there, you can then also provide it with your link as well. Now, when I did this, it didn't seem to process the link initially. So it then asked me as a follow-up question to provide the link to the PS4 folder, which I did, and then it simply handles everything for you. It uploads the modified save file, and then it will resign it to your profile. So the bot will then give you your resigned save file. It will give you a Google Drive link to download it. If you open the zip file, you will find a PS4 folder inside. You just copy that PS4 folder to the root of your USB drive. Plug it into your PS4. Head to the Application Save Data Management section on your PS4. Here, and then simply select the Save Data on USB storage. And then copy to system storage. Select the save file and let it copy it to the system storage. Then you can launch your Lua game. And it should have the save file working on your PS4 now, because you've resigned the modified save file to work with your profile on your PS4. So that's how you can do it using a free Discord save bot. You can also use Save Wizard to import the save files, which will resign them to your profile and download them back onto your USB which drive, you can then import with application Save Data Management on the PS4 in the same way as the Discord bot. That is another option. But those are the three methods of getting the save file for the Lua loader. And we do want to get our PS4 connected to the network because we need to send the files over the network at the moment. So what we can do is head to our network settings. Set up an internet connection using LAN cable or Wi-Fi, whatever you normally use, but do not use Easy. Select a custom option instead, and then go to automatic IP. Do not specify DHCP for DNS. We're gonna do a manual DNS, and the IP address is going to be a 6-DOT-10. .3800p38.117. This is a Nomadix DNS server, which will also block connections to Sony servers to prevent you from, accidentally updating to the latest firmware here. So that should hopefully do it there. And if we go into our user guide, if it tries to redirect us to Echo Stretches 7 and 1 host, which it does, then that means we are all good. The DNS is working here. So to get started here, we're gonna run our Lua game now that we have the remote Lua loader running on it. So we start our game. Give it a few seconds to load the remote Lua loader. And there it is running on firmware 12.0 to listening on port 0 to 6, so once we get to this point, we can then switch over to our computer. I'm going to use the remote Lua loader tool from Master S9. Makes things a little bit easier to use here. So what we're gonna do is just open that up in 7-zip, and I'll create a new folder on my computer called RLL for remote Lua loader. And then we will extract the contents of this tool into that folder. And then we can open this up here. And we're also gonna go ahead and just double click the remote Lua loader.x to run the program. Now you do need to make sure you have Python installed, which you can click here to download it, or simply download it from the Microsoft Store if you're on Windows. Now we need to enter the IP address of our at PlayStation 4. which I thought it would show, but actually it doesn't. Obviously, you can grab it by heading over to your system. System information, you can see mine is 19.137.74, so we'll head back onto the game here. And now, if we go ahead and enter that in here, so 19.2168137.dot7 for on 90 to 6, so we should be all good here. Make sure it's on PS for not PS5. And now what we're gonna click the labs exploit first to run that. So we're gonna click on that, and that's gonna run the kernel exploit. There we go, done. We can now press any key to continue, and then we can click the bin loader, which is the next part here. So we're gonna click on that, and that is going to run it. So it's now listening for a payload on port 9021. So now what we want to do is send the payload. Now I'm gonna use Netcat GUI for this. My payload injector, but obviously you can use any other payload injector you want to use here. So again, in the payload injector, we're just going to enter the same IP address as our PS for again, and port 9021. Now we don't have gold HEN at the time of recording, but we can use HEN VTX, which was ported by Echo Stretch, which works up to 12.02. If you look here, you can see we've got firmware supported all the way from 5.0 up to 12.02. If you're on 11.0 to 11.50, you would use this file. Obviously, I'm on 12.02, so I'll copy that out to my computer here. And all I'm gonna do is drag that into this payload injector, and then I can click inject payload. And as soon as I click inject payload, if we switch back over here, we can see it is spawning the payload here on our PS4. PS for firmware 12.02. Look at that, we have successfully got our console jailbroken here. Now, obviously, this is not so we don't have any of the fancy gold HEN options in here. This is still early days. Although gold HEN is probably right around the corner for 12.02. And then it will get slowly bad ported to other PS for firmwares. But anyway, as you can see, if we go to our settings, we do in fact have the debug settings showing up now. And we can actually use this to install fake packages and try and run them on our PS4. So okay, so I've got Minecraft and of course PT. My usual packages to install because they're nice and small. Only takes a few seconds to get them installed and tested. So these are of course fake packages, which would not normally run on a retail console. As you can see here, the game is a fake package. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and eject the drive here. And we're going to plug it into our PS4 and install these packages and see if we can get them running here. And we'll go to the game section in debug settings and then package installer. But there we go, found the ones on the USB drive, and PT will install both, so install all packages, and we'll let it do its thing. Okay. Now that we have those installed, we should be able to run PS for Edition. Again, this is a fake package, so it would not run if we were not jailbroken. But as you can see, we do in fact have the game running. So that is successful, and of course PT. We'll give this a try. This can sometimes take a while to start up, but it should be running okay. I had to cut out some of the loading and because editing. It was just taking too long. But as you can see, the game is in fact running right here. So we're all good to go, so yeah. As you can see, fake packages are indeed working. Now again, this is only a tethered jailbreak. So when we restart the PS4, we lose access to the jailbreak, which means having to go back on our Lua game, and then sending the labs, Lua file again, and then the bin loader, and then sending the HEN VTX payload. You have to go through those 3 steps every time. Obviously, if you find this to be too complicated, it will be made easier in the near future. Over the next few days or couple of weeks, we will get updates. We'll get different versions that will streamline the process, like the auto loader, so everything can be just loaded from the save file without having to send anything remote. That will be coming along with, of course, Golden to get all of the main jailbreak features enabled, rather than just the ability to run fake packages in Homebrew. So a lot more will be happening in the coming days. I'll keep you guys up to date, and I'll have a complete tutorial once everything has been made a lot simpler. So obviously, big thanks to everybody involved. There was a lot of people. I'm not gonna be able to name them all. We've got A, B, C, Netno, Pointer, E.G., Y, C, and Q, all a Z, Echo, Stretch, just to name a few, and many other talented developers who have lent their hands to this project, so big thanks to all of them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe.